Some nations play cricket for titles. For them, every ICC tournament begins with expectations. Reaching the semi-final is routine. Lifting the trophy is the standard. Their players are born into systems perfected over decades. Academies with world-class facilities, data analysts tracking every ball, domestic leagues watched by millions. In these countries, cricket is legacy. It is dominance carefully constructed over generations. And then there are nations who play for something entirely different. They play to be seen, to announce their arrival, to prove that geography does not define greatness. They don't step into the field defending history, step into the field trying to create history. They're not protecting dominance. They are not chasing any kind of accolades. What they're actually chasing is recognition. And when they win, it's not routine. It is actually revelation. It's not confirmation. It's actually transformation. That is the emotional engine of emerging cricket. Not entitlement, not inheritance, but belief. And belief, when backed by courage, can change the map of the game. So let's start with one defining moment in the history. 1983, India defeated West Indies. World Cup final, and West Indies were the empire. They were 2 times champions, fast bowlers who intimidated entire lineups, and a dynasty that looked permanent. India were not expected to survive, let alone compete. They scored just 183. That was it. Against that West Indies attack, 183 felt like surrender. Kapil Dev's team defended it. Mahinder Amarnath bowled with calm. The West Indies collapsed. It wasn't just a win. It was a message. Dominance is never permanent. Belief can rewrite hierarchy and history. Cricket's power center shifted that day, and it never fully shifted back. My name is Chinmoy. Along with Sanlap, welcome to Deep Point. Today, we are actually focusing on a very important topic. We are looking back at history, and we will also look at the present of world cricket and this interesting topic, that is the emergence of emerging countries. And can we call them emerging countries? Can we call them associate nations? Can we call them underdogs? And the question that the matches that they're winning, whether those matches are upsets or not, or are they just are these teams are emerging equals rather than just underdogs? So first, let us look at few of the key moments from history that defined today's state of world cricket. And we will then focus on the kind of momentum that these emerging nations have. So I started with India's heroics, but in the same tournament, another important thing happened. Zimbabwe defeated Australia, and another story unfolded. Zimbabwe, not yet a test powerhouse, defeated Australia. They were not supposed to compete. They were just expected to participate. But they won. That victory was quiet but symbolic. It actually proved that global cricket was deeper than people assumed. Then in 96, Kenya defeated West Indies, and West Indies were still giants. Team like Kenya, an associate nation, and West Indies by 73 runs. It was not luck. It was sheer discipline, and suddenly associates were no longer just filling spots. They were threatening bigger teams, stronger teams, and nations that every other cricket playing teams fear. They don't want to play against them, but a team like Kenya stunned them. Then in 99, in Cricket World Cup, Bangladesh faced Pakistan, a team of stars, Saeed Anwar, Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis. Bangladesh defeated them and eliminated them. That win didn't just boost their morale, but it actually showed a lot of associate nations and emerging nations what a determined team can do on field. Bangladesh's journey to test status started from there. One upset, but it had an institutional consequence in the sense that they got their test status after that. Moving on to 2003 Cricket World Cup, and Kenya didn't just cause an upset, they actually authored a campaign. They defeated Sri Lanka. Collins Abuya take 5 wickets for 24 runs. That was a match-winning spell, and spell that we still remember till this day. They defeated Zimbabwe. They reached the semi-final, a non-test playing nation in the final four of a World Cup. Can you imagine that? At that time, we could not imagine that. But have things changed now? We will discuss that later in this video. For weeks, Kenya wasn't an underdog. They were a headline. It remains the deepest World Cup run by an associate nation. Then comes 2007 Cricket World Cup, and it was Ireland versus Pakistan. St. Patrick's Day, Jamaica, rain in the air, and Ireland bowled Pakistan out for 132 runs and chased it. And that victory eliminated a former champion and forced the cricketing establishments to ask who exactly belongs here, who can be called as associate nations, and who are the cricketing powerhouses. Then comes 2009 T20 World Cup and 2009 ICC World T20 opening night at Lord's, the home of cricket, England hosting, the Netherlands chasing 163, own of the final ball, an associate nation defeating the hosts at the sport's most iconic venue. That was absolute drama, that was theater, that was cinema, whatever you want to call it. But that was again a defining moment in the history, and all the cricket lovers still remember that. Then comes 2011 Cricket World Cup, and England scored 327 that should have been safe. But Kevin O'Brien disagreed, and it was a 50-odd ball century, and Ireland chased 329. At that moment, it wasn't just an upset. It was one of the greatest chases in cricket history. And you ask anyone about that chase, they still vividly remember that chase. Then comes the 2014 ICC T20 World Cup, and 4 years later, the Netherlands defeated England again. 2 different tournaments, 2 different formats, but same kind of victories. No longer shock, just a new pattern. Then comes 2016, Afghanistan defeated West Indies. Again, West Indies was one of the most powerful teams in T20 format, and the defending champions. Afghanistan beat them. Rashid Khan emerged as a global star then. He was already performing quite well in franchise cricket, but the performance established Rashid Khan as an international star, global star, right? That wasn't a fluke. It was a preview to what could an associate nation do if they are determined to do the extraordinary. In recent past, in 2022 ICC Men's T20 World Cup, Zimbabwe defeated Pakistan. And you can see the pattern that Pakistan was many times at the wrong side of this story, and they got defeated by associate nations multiple times. Zimbabwe defeated Pakistan by a single run. It wasn't just a thriller, it was a resurgence of a team that is now ruling the world cricket, and we will talk about them in today's video. Then in the last T20 World Cup, USA defeated Pakistan. A bunch of engineers, a bunch of corporate employees from Dallas, they defeated a cricketing superpower like Pakistan in super over. Pakistan again, right? You can keep a count of how many times Pakistan got defeated by the so-called associate nations. So the United States, a nation rediscovering cricket, defeated them. A big moment in cricket history. Headlines reached beyond cricket. People started talking about USA as a cricketing nation. In the same World Cup, Afghanistan defeated Australia. And again, multiple time champions got beaten by Afghanistan. You can't call them an associate nation anymore. They are one of the most powerful teams going around. And Afghanistan reached the semi-final. That wasn't surprise because they already then arrived at the scene. Now, if you look at this timeline carefully, these are not just accidents; they are milestones. Every the circle widens. Every generation, another nation steps forward. What began as shock has become expectation. And that's the real transformation that we will try to capture in today's video. Because history doesn't just create memories, it creates momentum. And Salaf, are today in this video, we will talk about that momentum. So now I would like you to show us what that momentum looks like in today's world cricket. We are in between a tournament where we are seeing that momentum continuing. So just take us through that story, how that story is unfolding now in present cricket, present in world cricket. Over to you, Salah.
So in between, a lot of things happened. So, say for example, if I consider 1992 World Cup, we are considering about the emerging teams. But if I'm considering the underdog stories, then again 92 World Cup, nobody expected Pakistan to win that World Cup because even in the
Yeah,
group
yeah.
stage, they falling short in the initial matches, but the brilliant captaincy of Imran Khan that took them to the title. Even in 1996, if I consider
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka is also a very very big underdog story.
Yeah.
Cut to 1999. So today, the team that impressed us the most as of now is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, they've got their test status, and then thereafter they started preparing their cricketers slowly, and how well they started preparing their players and how good they were. A glimpse of that was shown in 1999 World Cup when they defeated India in the group stage and also South Africa in the group stage, and they went on to the Super Six. They repeated to go to the Super Six even in the 2003 World Cup. And after that, a downslide happened. A lot of things changed. Their political scenarios changed. They lost the ICC status for temporarily. They lost their status temporarily, and after that it was a very very Zimbabwe story. It actually experienced a very very downslide, and a team which was looking like kind of going at par with the other teams who are playing cricket. All of a sudden they became underdogs once again, and they all of a sudden became the associate nation once again. And after that, whenever Zimbabwe defeats any team, we call it an upset. But we stopped calling their success upset when players like Flower Brothers, Neil Johnson, Alistair Campbell, Henry Olonga, Hitstreak, and they were some of them have become cricketers who are still talked about. Hitstreak has passed away very recently, so we got that news, and all of a sudden our childhood memories with his trick, they all of a sudden they came up into our emotions. Now if I'm considering what has happened in the past few years with Zimbabwe, now look at the way Zimbabwe has played over the past few years and the kind of management that they have uh, gone into. Dave Houghton, their legend, one of their most successful cricketers, he took over and he started during the 2016-17 period. They started, developing the Zimbabwean side once again, but yet they lost their qualification in some of the versions of the World Cups. For example, 2023 World Cup, they could not be a part of it. 2024 World Cup, they could not be a part of it. Even after upsetting Pakistan in 2022 World Cup, they could not qualify for the 2024 World Cup. And again, finally, when they managed to get into 2026 version, nobody, and they were having a group of Australia, Sri Lanka, and the other teams were okay, fine. I can understand Ireland and Oman were the other competitors. But when you have a group with Australia and Sri Lanka, nobody expects Zimbabwe to, do a lot of things because Australia is already a giant and Sri Lanka, the host of the world of this World T20, and Sri Lanka, all the matches are also in Sri Lanka. They will be getting massive home advantage. And what we see, they have defeated both the giants, or
Mm,
both Australia and Sri Lanka have been defeated by Zimbabwe. Now, like some of the players who, or some of the people who have done it behind the screens, if I am just considering them, then one of them is their bowling coach, the great Courtney Walsh. Sir Courtney Walsh, he's
mm,
their bowling coach, and we can see how well their bowling lineup has been designed. Where we can see that they have developed bowlers like Blessing Muziravani, Ingarava, Brad Evans. The fast bowling of Zimbabwe, that is looking so good. That is the initial power play bowling, that is looking so good. I can feel that there must be something. Courtney Walsh has taken over
mm,
the role of the bowling coach in the last year only. So in this span of a few months, he has transformed the bowling lineup so well. And talents like Muzarabani and Ngarawa, they are coming up. Also, I can see that the way they are batting. So they are not going for, every batsman is not going for a hit. So there was a time when we saw that Zimbabwe's batting used to collapse. So just to stop the collapse, the kind of strategy that they have taken is, there is a batsman, Brian Bennett, their opener, who is yet to be
mm.
dismissed. He has gone, all the three innings that he has played, he could not be dismissed. He has right now the only batsman not to be dismissed, right? So that's a huge thing, huge thing.
Exact opposite story to what the Abhishek Sharma story.
Exactly.
The story
So,
we have. Mm,
so their opener, that he comes in the opening, and every innings that he has played has remained on the crease all throughout the innings. A massive thing that can be said. What he has done is he has not accelerated that much. His strike rates are ranging between 120 to 130 maybe. What he has done is he has stopped the collapse, but just by being the greatest anchor, and all the hitting has been done by batsmen like Muramani, Sikandar Raza. Sikandar Raza is their leader who is leading from the front. Pakistan origin player, could not find a place for him in Pakistan, came to Zimbabwe, and he has now cemented his place in Zimbabwe cricket, also in world cricket, in a way that his name will be remembered when we will, so the kind of performance, as you were mentioning in one video, that the kind of performance Zimbabwe has shown this time, the stories will go on and go on and go on. There will be, that's a massive thing. So yeah, so like till now, whatever we can see from the entire batting lineup, we can see that their fielding has changed like massively. They're hardly, doing any misfieldings. Munionga has taken a brilliant catch already in the game against Australia. So these kind of these small things, they talk a lot about the spirit that Zimbabwe is right now in. That chase against Sri Lanka in a ground like R. Pramadasa, that was so clinical and flawless that it did not even look for a second that they might falter at some point of time. It was looking so clean, so much planned a chase. So they are whatever shape they are right now in, and since they are in a group of India, I think India has big reasons to worry about. And yeah, so if the underdog that has really impressed us the most this time, that must be Zimbabwe. And other underdogs, if I'm talking about, definitely Italy, we could see the way they played. Nepal, the way that they emerged. USA. So yeah, so these three teams also impressed us a lot. And yeah, so what are your takes on these the other three teams?
No, I think it's earlier we used to appreciate the fighting spirits of most of these teams, and sometimes when they used to go over the line, we used to call those matches upsets, and We used to appreciate the fighting spirit and the way a particular team is together, uh, creating pressure and impact that is too much for a bigger teams and so-called mainstream teams. Nowadays, you can't say that a defeat that you get from these nations is upset because the kind of skill sets that they have. Okay, I still remember those matches when Italy batters were playing those unbelievable shots. It was like I'm watching batters with proper skills, and that surprised me a bit because we as cricket lovers are guilty of only focusing on main cricket playing nations, and we sometimes don't get to see these players because some of these players are playing franchise cricket, but most of these players are mostly unseen, and they're not playing in at least not in leagues that we watch or franchise cricket that we watch. So obviously we as cricket lovers are accepting that biasness, if I can call it that. But now on, I will watch them. I will find out where they are playing and watch those matches because they are actually playing a different brand of cricket. The kind of shots they are playing, skill sets are there, but the freshness that they have, the novelty that they have, that surprised me a lot because we are so engrossed by, say, Abhishek Sharma, say Sanju Samson or Isham Kishan or Harry Brook, or say in bowling Jofra Archer, because all these names, every time we see them in mainstream media, and they're always in front of us. That's why we can't see beyond them. But I think now is the time when we have to go beyond them and take notice of the kind of skill sets and the kind of spirit and the kind of unique skills and unique techniques and unique kind of flavors that these teams and their players have. And as you mentioned about the coaching staff, sometimes we don't know that these legends are there in their coaching group, and they are actually grooming those players. When you get to know about these facts, then everything adds up. Then you know that this is the reason why these teams are
Yes.
now elevating themselves to a level which is on par, if not better than few of the bigger teams. So I think this is really exciting time for all cricket lovers, and they should go beyond their well-known stars and actually take out time and give effort to watch these players in, say, not so significant tournaments or games, not just in T20 World Cup or 50 overs World Cup, but also in bilateral series and other matches that happen around the world. So we have to, my submission is, now is the time when we have to take notice and give due respect and watch their
So
games.
since you were mentioning about the coaching staff, so Italy's head coach is John Davison. John Davison is a
Mm,
name that a lot of people might have forgotten. John Davison was once a very big name. The year was 2003. The match was Canada versus West Indies World Cup match. There was a guy from Canada who hit a 67 ball 100, which was then the fastest 100 in any World Cup, and it came from a Canadian batsman, and that batsman's name was John Davison. And today we have
mm,
the same person as the head coach of Italy's cricket team. So Italy's cricket team has been formed in a very, in a very interesting way. So Italy was traditionally, a nation where cricket was practiced. The club that is known today as AC Milan, which we today know as a football club, was primarily a cricket club. So from there, the cricket, the cricket practice in Italy has always been there. Now the fact that football took over cricket, and football, since it's a global sport, it has got a massive global reach. And after that, what happened is, in the recent times, where when Italy's cricket started developing, these Manenti brothers. Today we saw these Manenti
mm,
brothers playing, the brothers and Manenzi brothers. So they are residents of Australia, but they have Italian origin. And they did like the primary scouting was done by these Menenti brothers. Inside Australia, they found the Italian diaspora and they formed their Italian cricket team. They're also faced some hardships just after the World Cup started. Their captain got injured in the first match, Matson. So all these players who we have seen playing for Italy are basically most of them are having Italian origin, but they were residents of some other countries. If we look at USA team, the still have mentioned that USA team has where a group of engineers or corporate employees, and they formed a team and they defeated Pakistan, and it became a story in 2024. Today, the USA that one success actually developed their game so much that today we can see that there are USA-born cricketers coming into the picture. There is a guy, Saitija Mukkamala, though he's Indian origin, but he's a US-born guy, the one who played a brilliant knock against Netherlands. He is also today a part of the USA cricket, and he was a proper USA born. Other than that, we were seeing that people who have played under 19 cricket in India, like Saurav Netravalkar.
mm,
His story is very interesting. So we all know that he works at Oracle, and his story became very viral after he bowled a very brilliant spell against Pakistan. So his origins are from India. He played under 19 World Cup for India, and finally after that World Cup he went back to USA. So for studies, and finally he started working there for Oracle, but cricket didn't leave him, so he managed to create a balance between cricket and his work, and finally he is a part of USA cricket team, and we could see how talented he was in the last World Cup. So he showed that, like, the kind of quality that he has. Another cricketer who has impressed us a lot from US, that is Skadley Van Skopvik. He's still the highest wicket taker now. So just look at the list of cricketers who have, like, the ones who have taken the highest wickets. We will be finding all the cricketers, almost every cricketer is from the country, who are these so-called underdogs. Skokvik is from USA. Then we have Muzarabani from Zimbabwe. We have Leask from Scotland. So all these cricketers who have massively impressed us. I think it's a brilliant saga that is there to unfold. And the more we will see them, the more we will look at how things have unfolded. Say for example, another person who should be named here is Stuart Law. Stuart Law, the
mm,
former Australian cricketer who had been the coach of USA, and after
mm,
leaving USA, now he is coaching Nepal. So two of
yeah.
these emerging nations that have impressed us over time. So previously USA and now Nepal also, we know how impressive this team was. We have discussed, they almost defeated England, and that was just near an upset. And I think we almost kind of we were getting prepared for an upset, but just that one over or one ball, Nepal could not cross the line. But what a story it was. And finally Nepal defeated Scotland, a team who has
Mm,
been playing for so many years. So I think Nepal is again another story. Players like Sompal Kami, Dipendra Singh Airi, Lokesh Bam, even Rohit Paudel, their captain,
mm,
all these Kushal Guptal, we will remember these names for so long time because the way they have performed. Some on-field heroes, some off-field heroes, and everyone kind of make it happen. And another thing that has impressed me is so much, I don't know how many have observed, that all these teams have got good fan followings inside the crowds.
mm,
They
mm,
had a good number of representatives. Even if I'm talking about Italy, we saw that Italian fans are there. We saw that US fans are there, though less
mm,
in numbers. Like, we knew that Nepal has a very, very big fan base
mm,
inside India, and we would see a massive Nepal crowd. If you have seen that every Nepal game, the kind of Nepal crowd that we had inside the grounds. So I think cricket will be cricket is very much going to be alive in all these nations. And as you have mentioned, that ICC needs to take care of, bilateral series. And I think another thing that will really help cricket to grow in this country is if the players are picked by, international leagues like
Hmm.
IPL and ILT20, because these players need, if they get more exposure, if today a player like Blessing Muzarabani, if he gets a team like KKR and if he plays cricket, because KKR needs a fast bowler, Muzarabani or even Vance Cockwick, if they are taken by, teams like KKR, or even if they get to play these ILT20 leagues and everything, I think it would be a massive thing. It would give them a massive, massive exposure.
So I was researching a bit about the support system and ecosystem and the support structure that is needed to promote these cricketing nations with a lot of skill sets and fan following and all the stories that you mentioned. What I could see that even 10 years back there was no support system as such. Now things have changed a bit, but there are a lot to be done, and we expect a lot from all the bodies that are and all the structure that are in place are quite good, but we need much more changes and strengthening and robustness we expect from the structure. But I think what has changed is this the emergence of franchisee cricket and league cricket that you mentioned. I think to promote anything you need market forces, you need return on investment, and after this 20 World Cup, there will be many players who are brands in themselves. Okay, so these leagues, they can pick them, and it can help those leagues to promote their tournaments and their leagues to the audience and to the fan base. And
Absolutely.
I will come to that, the structural issues, and we will discuss about that. But let's talk a bit about the format. So, do you think that the T20 format has played a major role in this? Because 120 balls, compressed margins, you don't need 10 world class players. You just need 3 4 players who can change a game. So, do you think the emergence of these cricket playing nations is because of this compressed margin, or do you think they have actually improved as teams, and they have better players now, they have better support system now, they have better coaching staff now, and there are, we can go on, there are n numbers of reasons why they have emerged. But to what extent do you ascribe it to the format, or to what percentage of this success can be ascribed to, say, their real development as teams and their development of their skill sets and many other aspects that they have in their game?
Yeah, so the very reason why, football is so famous. So football is a game of 90 minutes. So it's just a matter of that 90 minutes, when even if I am making, what happens at Football World Cup, we see a lot of upsets in Football World Cup. So why that is possible? Because that on that 90 in within that period of 90 minutes, the team, maybe they did not play a better football. Maybe for maybe 5 to 6 minutes they were so good that for 5 to 6 minutes they created something on the field which could not be countered by the, heavyweight team. So the same thing happened can be happening in T20 format, because the format is very short. As you have mentioned, that when I'm playing 20 overs cricket, the margin of error becomes very low for any of the teams. And say, for example, if the stronger team commits a mistake, and if the weaker team, just capitalizes on that, those moments where the stronger team has committed a mistake, or maybe for a 5 to 6 overs, or maybe 7 to 8 overs, that weaker team played so brilliant cricket that it could not, the weaker team could not match up to that. So say for example, that happened in the case of Zimbabwe, Australia. That power play, those 6 overs, by picking up 4 wickets, the two pacers, they took the game away from Australia's hands, and Australia could not return to the game. So this thing can only happen in, in a format like T20. When you are talking about 50 over game, that probability diminishes a little bit, because in 50 overs there will be the stronger team has the scope to make amends to whatever has happened for a temporary period of time. In test cricket, that probability goes even more down. So we can see in test crickets, what we can see is, like, in test cricket only the strong team, so basically the test cricket, why test cricket is for only very very niche audience, because the fight is always between the strong versus strong teams. There, the fight between the strong versus an underdog and strong versus a weak team, that rivalry becomes a little bit diminish. When it comes to one day cricket, it is not too much, not too low also. But when it comes to T20 cricket, the difference is brought very much down by by the fact that it is T20 cricket, and it's a very short, it's currently the shortest version of cricket. If we look at T10, which is again being played in a lot of franchisee cricket, if we look at T10, this margin will again drop down even more. So yeah, so kind of the if you shorten the version more, these rivalries, the kind of differences between the strong and the weak teams, they will diminish. Yeah.
Right. Another thing I observed, and it is widely discussed in mainstream media also, you can actually see a lot of articles online on this, that these nations that performed really well in one tournament, say Kenya in that World Cup when they reached semi-final, after that they somehow lost their track, and they then could not replicate that success in other tournaments and other bilateral series. And I think one of the reasons for that is they do not get the same amount of exposure that other big cricket playing nations get. Then I thought about the solution, and one solution then I can see that if most of, at least if they 40% of their players are picked in league, any franchise teams or any league teams, then there can be skill transfer. There is an opportunity of skill transfer from other players, and the other thing is they will also get an extended period of exposure that can nurture those talents, that can stop those talents to go into, say, an on and off kind of a situation, because you need that exposure. And look at the emergence of India as a cricket playing nation. It happened because of IPL and the kind of exposure that, and the domestic structure that we have, and the kind of exposure that all our players get on say they all our players, I think, at least play 40% of the year in different leagues, domestic tournaments, in national teams, a national team, and play in many. So India also have their A team and their B team and their multiple teams that they have. They can arrange tournaments for those teams also. So they generally get that exposure. How do you think, beyond just these franchisee leagues, how can the current structure can provide more exposure to these teams? One thing I can think about is bilateral series with bigger teams. What else could be done so that they can get that kind of exposure that other teams are enjoying right now?
Yeah, so I think mostly the franchisee cricket, the league cricket is the solution, because if we look at the franchisee league cricket, which is now played all over the world, not only about IPL, we know that SA20 is there, CL20 is there, we have ILT20, sorry, CPL is there, ILT20 is there. So all these leagues, PSL is there. So all these things are, all these league crickets, they are extremely important. Why they are important? Because the exposure, so far as the exposure is concerned, what happens with the exposure? I am telling you. So one of the major contributions overall, if I look at the league cricket has brought into the cricket system is today's scouting has become a very easier thing after the franchise cricket has been famous. So previously what used to happen that only national level scouting used to exist. Today franchise level scouting is there. Now when franchise level scouting happens, not only nationally but also internationally. So we see that a lot of unknown players they are getting picked by these franchise teams. We generally do not know from where they have come, but the ones who are kept in those positions to scout players who will be the next heroes. So that is very much there so far as these franchisee cricket is concerned. If you look at Mumbai Indians, the way they have developed players, if you look at Chennai Super Kings, or the way they have developed players over the time, so I think that's massive. So you know, especially when I'm talking about Mumbai Indians, almost today, kind of the stars that we can see, they are the result of their brilliant scouting. So
mm,
had the Mumbai Indians not been there, we would not have ever figured out, or maybe we could have figured out later that there are big talents like Hardik or Bumrah,
mm.
Surya for that matter. So
And the way they have nurtured them, they have
the way
supported them, they have even go out of their ways to support them in their personal lives
exactly,
and their
exactly,
family related issues. So they were like that system that helped them in every way possible. So we
exactly.
are talking about that kind of support for the associate nation
Exactly, exactly,
stars also.
exactly, exactly. Now that for that kind of support, so now we have figured out that what are the talents that these countries they do have talents that now we know that
Mm,
Italy also like it's a result of scouting only. So as I was mentioning,
mm,
like Menenti brothers, they they figured out who can be our teammates in the Australia within Australia the Italian does within the Italian diaspora they scouted, and also if we look at USA, so basically we need to create systems and we need to create more such leagues. So now what is there is everything cannot be done by the ICC themselves. ICC needs
mm,
to provide more funds to these associate nations. So,
mm,
like definitely there will be bilateral series between, say, for example, tomorrow we can see bilateral series between Italy and maybe teams like Bangladesh or maybe teams like Scotland. So these cricket, also what should we look at is since today franchise a lot of other franchise cricket are also ruled by Indian franchises. So these bodies they can think of picking up these gems from that associate nations, and even if they are not getting places in the first 11, sometimes okay fine fair enough, you have better players to be played into the first 11, sometimes they will get the preference, but that dressing room experience with all the other players, the kind of net sessions that they will go through, that kind of
the
exposure.
elite infrastructure that you get.
Exactly. The elite infrastructure, the elite mindset, the elite game awareness that
Mm,
you will learn. So I'm pretty sure that that is going to help a lot. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that say for example, who knew about Pathirana before he played for CSK?
mm,
So once player like Matisha Pathirana was picked by CSK, and once he was made a star by MS Dhoni. So like the way Dhoni used him and the way Dhoni used to groom him in all the CSK matches where he shined. I think the kind of exposure that a guy that he's not an Indian cricketer, he's a Sri Lankan cricketer. The way he has been
mm,
nurtured by the CSK system, I think that's unmatchable. So, you know, all these players they need proper grooming now because they have the thing with them. Players like Dipendra Singh Airi, players like Sompal, players like Manenti brothers, players like Mosca brothers, players like Sai Teja, players like Mohammad Mohsen, or maybe players like in Zimbabwe I can name like I can go on naming them the kind of cricket that they are playing. So yeah, even Sikandar Raza, he also has been a very regular player of international franchisee cricket. So Sikandar Raza also has gained a lot of game awareness. The kind of captaincy that he is showing on field, I think that's only possible if you are exposed to a lot of cricket, and not only within your, national domain. When you go to international cricket, when you mix with international stars, only then this level of game awareness can come.
Yeah. So the way I see it, I think there are four key factors here, and you need to have alignment between these four key factors. One is obviously the pool of talent. You need talent, then only you can nurture it, then only you can elevate it. The second is the infrastructure that you have, and we talked about the kind of elite infrastructure that these franchisee teams with a lot of their financial resources have. Third is, I think, the governance structure. If you look at, you talked about CSK and the way they nurture talents, it's because they have a great governance style and approach and philosophy. Fourth is the exposure. So obviously, if you pick these players even in your squad, that will give them the exposure that can make a Rashid Khan, or there are many players from say Ireland that can become the global stars. There are few players from USA that can become global stars. Italy, Scotland, Netherlands. There are many such players who can become stars through league investment. I think rather than going for including them in T20 World Cups and these big tournaments, we should have that ecosystem thinking, and we should think about, we have to be more inclusive in that, those other franchisee crickets and leagues also, and identify them and groom them and scout them. Whatever needed to be done should be done by these franchisee leagues, and not just IPL. I think you talked about four or five and more leagues around the world. They should step forward and take that responsibility. Now let's talk a bit about also fan engagement. You touched upon that a bit. You talked about Nepal's fan engagement, and we could feel that cultural energy, feel that deep emotional investment the fan had. So how do you think this support from fans and the kind of eyeballs that these teams now attracting, how that will translate into say financial implications? For example, we were talking just now, we were talking about franchisee investment. Perhaps these eyeballs or this fan engagement or this fan support can lead to such investment from the franchisee owners and the corporate powerhouses. How do you see this fan engagement and the implications of that for the further investment into these players, these future stars and present stars and global stars?
Yeah, the game needs to be, we need to keep on promoting the games into more and more newer countries, because not only new countries, when we are talking about already established, like they have established themselves, teams like Italy, Zimbabwe, or maybe if we are talking about Nepal has already got a huge fan base, teams like USA. So what needs to be done is their successes, the you know few stories should be made, and few stories should be percolated into the audience, so that the audience know about the sport. Because a lot of maybe Italians they might not be knowing that they have a test playing team, so, or sorry, cricket playing team. So when I'm talking about if the entire story of Italy, if it has been it is promoted in terms of some advertisements, in terms of some really good documentaries, or maybe in terms of a little bit of a filmmaking perspectives, if those videos are made, if those promotional reels are made, so everything is about engaging your fans, your existing fans, and bringing out new fans into the picture. So I think whatever they have done, that needs to be promoted well enough. So when that will be promoted, newer people will be interested into the game, and as many people will be coming, So it is not a one day affair, definitely, but as years will pass, I think more and more people will be getting interested. And for that, I think the fact that ICC is having a proper, funds for these associate nations, that needs to be increased, because ICC, the kind of revenue sharing that ICC is right now having is very much centralized to some nations only. And associate nations, I think they can increase the share if they are. If at it, I'm as a cricket fan, I am happy if that comes at a cost of cutting a few percentage from India's share, because India definitely, yeah, definitely India is providing a lot to the world cricket. But so far as the like revenue distribution is concerned, I think ICC can allocate a little bit of higher, revenue for these associate nations, just for the fact of, promoting the sport inside that nation. Because cricket development will happen at its own pace, because good players, good established coaches are already there. So they are there for the grooming. Maybe in another time, we will be having, players from those countries representing franchising teams. So that also will be happening in due course of time. But if we are creating more fans, then I think that would be an excellent thing to see. So considering like that's a kind of a dream come true event, that a match between maybe Scotland versus Netherlands is happening, and we can see a stadium packed with Scottish and Dutch fans. I think that's a massive, massive thing. That is awaiting us. And also we need proper stadiums in those countries also. So if you're having cricket stadiums in Netherlands, proper places where cricket will be played, so I think more and more people will be engaging themselves into
All right, let's speculate a bit. So, who is going to be the next cricketing powerhouse? Like India became after 83, Pakistan became after 92, and Sri Lanka became after 96. Your bet is behind which team? Which cricketing nation is going to become the next Sri Lanka, India, or Pakistan?
a lot of things will depend on the geopolitical scenarios also. So, say for example, everyone expected Afghanistan to improve a lot more inside these few years. But again, the geopolitical scenarios within Afghanistan, they, kind of had a backseat, and all of a sudden, the political scenarios within the country that didn't work out. So, so far as today's status is concerned, among the among the underdog teams from from whatever we have seen from this World Cup, as of now, I'm not seeing any nation to become a powerhouse. I will have to see through the Super 8 what is done by Zimbabwe, um, or what might be the scenario of Afghanistan in another few years. But definitely, for me, Afghanistan was going to be a big name into the world cricket. But somehow their progress has been deaccelerated a little bit. I think they need a little bit more acceleration in the upcoming days. Otherwise, Zimbabwe is another thing which is looking very, very promising. Another fun fact that I think if more bilateral series between India happens between Zimbabwe, that also will be giving them a huge boost of revenue. Now, the fact that bilateral series between Zimbabwe and India has gone so low in the past couple of decades. Last time Zimbabwe played in India was in 2002, and that was a one-day match, and T20 cricket was not even born yet. So, who was the man of the match in that match? Dinesh Mongia, 159. Saurav Ganguly was India's captain, and Zimbabwe was led by Stuart Carlyle. Yuvraj played a brilliant cameo innings of 75 in the same match. So that is the so why I mentioned this fun fact is 2001 and today 2000 almost after 25 years, Zimbabwe is coming to India to play cricket. That also in an ICC event. So we know that how much the teams have been dependent on the bilateral series versus India. So I think more and more bilateral series versus India can be arranged by the teams, and that would be again a massive improvement of their cricketing power also. Yeah. So I think the fact that Zimbabwe has shown this much of promise. I don't know what is going to happen on the Thursday when India will be meeting
Mm.
Zimbabwe inside India after almost 25 years. But yeah, so that would be an interesting thing to watch. A country after 25 years coming to India.
Okay, so here's a question: are we even allowed to call Afghanistan an underdog anymore, or say Ireland or Netherlands still underdogs, or are they emerging equals? Because underdog, the word implies surprise, right? But when a team beats top nations repeatedly, for example, Zimbabwe is beating the top guns repeatedly, and they're making that kind of statement again and again, those results are no longer surprises, right? It's a competitive balance kind of a thing that we are seeing, and perhaps we are entering a phase where these unpredictabilities are normal. How do you see this word underdog? Do you think, is it fair to call these teams underdogs still?
In T20 cricket, that word, it has a little bit of significance. If the difference between the standards is too high, then you can still call them underdogs. But yes, you're right that when we are talking about T20 cricket, then in this version of cricket, the term underdogs, the meaning of the underdogs change a little bit, because yes, in T20 cricket, any team on any given day can beat any team. So basically, if it was Test cricket, and definitely we could have called player teams like Zimbabwe and Afghanistan as underdogs. But when it comes to T20 cricket, I think that margin has been diminished well enough. Afghanistan has defeated almost all the big nations already. Australia has been defeated. South Africa has been defeated. Okay, sorry. South Africa has not been defeated. England, New Zealand, and Australia, they have already been defeated by Afghanistan. I think Zimbabwe has also done almost. They have completed their, defeating all the big guns. Also, I think another point that I would like to mention, that as time will, these teams need some, path-breaking legends to bring themselves out of the underdog tag. Now, if you look at Sri Lanka, they were once underdogs. Now, look at the legends. In very short period of time, they have created a pool of those cricketers who are such world-class cricketers that they helped the entire team to pull out the name of underdogs from them. If I'm considering Aravinda De Silva, Sanath Jayasuriya, Muralidharan, Chaminda Jayawardene, Sangakkara, so all these Dilshan, so many cricketers you can see, you can name who have been Sri Lankan stars, and they are such big legends of the game that they helped the entire team to see the name, that the tag of underdogs has been pulled out of them. And now, when again after the retirement of those cricketers, when we saw that Sri Lankan cricket was witnessing a dip, who do you look for after that? These cricketers, they become the coaches or managers. Today we have in the Sri Lankan dugout, we have two legends of the game from their own country, Sanath Jayasuriya and Lasith Malinga. So every team will require such legends. So today Zimbabwe has a legend like Andy Flower. Andy Flower has proved himself to be a master coach. He has coached different national cricket teams. He has coached different IPL teams. He has already marked his position as a brilliant coach. So just think how good it would have been if Zimbabwe could have used a legend like Andy Flower in their coaching dugout. So you need legends to come. I don't know what, like, today we have players like in Zimbabwe, we have players like Sikandar Raza, who is going on to become a very, very veteran of the cricket game in Zimbabwe. He has a lot to contribute. A lot of things, a lot of responsibilities are there so far as the legends are concerned. Today's biggest example is Pakistan. The legends who were stalwarts themselves in the game, they could not, you know, take the nation as their as forefathers of the upcoming cricketers. They could not be their guides, be a good guide to them. That's why we can see so much of commotions are happening between the current cricketers and the ex-cricketers. The ex-cricketers are criticizing the current cricketers. Current cricketers are saying that what have they achieved in their when they used to play. So these things can only happen when there are differences between the ones who have played the game in an expert way, and after that their contribution was almost nil. So yeah,
All right. So I think even a day long podcast would not be enough
it would have
to
fallen short.
capture all the stories that are there, and the historical milestones that are there, and what could happen in future for these teams, and many other nations I think will join in and make all these tournaments and the world cricket overall exciting and interesting. So I will end this episode with this. Okay. I think there was a time when cricket felt concentrated, and a few nations, a few rivalries, a few predictable scripts were there. But I think history has, as we mentioned already, history has a way of widening circles. And I think cricket as a sport is gaining depth. It is adding layers, more stories, more accents, more colors, more dreams, right? So from Nairobi to Dublin, and from Kabul to say Kathmandu, we are having a lot of stories. And be it a bunch of engineers and corporate employees from Dallas to interesting match and interesting bunch of players from Windwalk, right? So the map is filling in, and here is the most powerful part. Okay, these nations are not asking for permissions. They are building their presence, they are creating heroes, and they're inspiring children who once thought this game belonged somewhere else. And perhaps years from now, when we look back at this era, we won't remember it as the time of upsets. We will remember it as a time cricket truly became global, not by force, not by mandate, but by sheer momentum. This is Deep Point. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.